Tonight I've decided to discuss the adult learning theory and how it relates to vocational education. What we know about the adult learning theory is the majority of adults do have a need to understand or know why they're learning something. Adult learners do not take fact as fact. They need to understand why it's relevant. They need to understand the applicability of information, how this piece of information is going to allow them to carry out a task, how it relates to their everyday lives. Adult learners need to be self-directed. They need to have a hand in their classroom. They need to have a hand in the learning process. They also have their own life experiences. Unlike elementary or middle school children, they have not lived a life yet. Whenever we're dealing with adult learners, they have their own life experiences and therefore have a tendency to be more opinionated. They want to bring their own life experiences into the classroom and build upon that. Kind of as we mentioned earlier, they do have a tendency to be task-oriented. They want to know how information is going to be relevant to a certain task, how it's going to allow them to carry tasks out. And then finally, they are motivated by both extrinsic and intrinsic factors. Whenever we look at the adult learning theory as it has to do with vocational education, there are definitely a number of strengths. Predominantly, whenever a student comes into any type of vocational setting, they're coming in to do a job. It's going to be rare that someone comes in just to get the information. They're coming in because they want to earn a certification, they want specific training, they want to be able to get a professional job. Therefore, the adult learning theory fits into that just perfectly, because we're not learning just to learn. We are learning with a task. It is task-centered, and there's going to be a deep understanding, or there's going to need to be a deep understanding of how this information is going to be used in the day-to-day lives. As we said, task-oriented. Usually in a vocational type setting, the end product is going to be within sight. Specifically, maybe a matter of months, possibly even a matter of weeks. These adult learners know exactly what they're working toward. They know how quickly they're going to get there. It's not like, maybe necessarily earning an English degree, where you're working on the English degree, but at the end of the day, you're not sure exactly what you're going to do with it. You may decide to teach English. You may decide to go into another field with that degree. When we're looking in a vocational setting, that end product, that task is already set out there for you. You know exactly what you're working for. And finally, the intrinsic drive is definitely a benefit in the vocational setting. In my program particularly, we say that grades are relatively irrelevant. Whenever I say that, I mean that our students are basically pass or fail. They're graded on a successful or other than successful scale. 80% and better, successful; below 80%, other than successful. So with that decrease of extrinsic factors, we definitely need that increase of intrinsic factors that we have in adult learners, because that ABCD isn't as strong as it is in most classrooms. As far as weaknesses go, not all students are self-driven. We have a tendency to have more challenges with our younger students. When we're looking at vocational settings, our students may be 18, they may be 68. They're still adult learners. Our older, more experienced students do have a tendency to be more self-driven. They know what they want, they've had their life experiences, they know exactly what they're working for. Therefore, they strive and work a little bit harder. Where some of our younger students, they haven't had those experiences yet. They're just trying life out. They're trying to figure out, maybe this would be fun, maybe it wouldn't. Let's give it a shot. So, due to that lack of or decreased drive, the adult learning theory is not always the best fit for vocational education. Another weakness is because of the lack of ABCD grading, because we do work on a pass-fail type basis. Students may not always give it their personal best. When a student is working for, that aid, keep that GPA up, to have that GPA high enough in order to, continue on to their next degree or whatever it is that they're choosing to do. There's something there to work for, that extrinsic factor that's there to work for. However, because we have non-credit courses, that extrinsic factor is not there, where we do still have the pass-fail. It's just not as strong, and therefore, again, isn't always the best fit. Currently, we do use the adult learning theory within our online classrooms. Our online classrooms are what we refer to as hybrid courses. And the students complete the majority of their coursework online. And then they come in on Saturdays, most of the time, to complete their chapter exams and their hands-on skills practice. In EMS, it's going to be basically impossible at this point to complete or to have a 100% online EMS course. Now, I say almost impossible. It's not impossible. However, we do not have the student base. The majority of our students do not have access to the technology that they would need in order to put a course like this 100% online. Therefore, right now we are still working with the hybrid classes. In our classes, the students are provided with a number of learning tools. They have lecture material, PowerPoints, quizzes, vocabulary flashcards, workbook assignments. They have a number of different assignments or learning tools that they can use as they choose. These assignments, these exercises, they do not earn a grade. If they choose not to review the lecture, that's their personal choice. But it does allow the students to be self-directed. It allows them to focus their time and attention on the pieces that they feel will benefit them the most. Also, we use our classrooms or instruct our students that this is your first day of your job, of your career. The first day that they come into class, we explain to them that this is their first day in their new job. From that point forward, they will be assessed, they will be evaluated based on punctuality, professionalism, attendance. All of these things are going to be additional extrinsic factors that are going to encourage the students to participate, to attend class, and get what they need to out of the class in order to be successful. Overall, I believe that the adult learning theory is a good fit. It is very relevant and beneficial to vocational education. Like I said, we have a number of the pieces of this theory that work into our program. And just overall, I think the two are a good fit.